Very, very happy to be here. Another great call with another great team. This time around, I'm going to be doing very little talking, hopefully not at all. I think that the team has a lot to share. So without further ado, we have some of the grants guys here. We have Adam here. We have a bunch of people. You already know our faces. You know what we do. So I'm not going to bother with the introduction. Nathan, I'm going to let you kick things off right away. Introduce the team, introduce who you are. We can't wait.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and I've got on my team today, Liz, who's in charge of product, and Shane, our lead engineer. We are the team behind the Casimir project. I'm going to talk a little bit about the idea behind it and how we got involved with SSV Network. But at the core, what we're all about is simple self-custody. So making it easy for users to manage their own digital assets in a way that's non-custodial. We haven't seen very many good ways that make it really easy for the user to manage their digital assets. And when I say that, I mean everything from staking to NFTs and beyond. And I think a core reason for that is everything is just really complicated. There's tons of different tokens, tons of different websites, tons of different wallets. And so I think everybody in cryptos probably has, 3, 4, 5 wallets. You got multiple websites bookmarked. I mean, it's just, trying to get through all those tokens. It's kind of fun, but it's also kind of a pain, right? And so we wanted to figure out, hey, how can we make it simpler for users to manage all those assets? One of those big things was staking. So we want to make it easy to stake across different chains, whether it's Solana, Cosmos, Polkadot, all of those different things. And what's different is Ethereum. Ethereum's different than all the other staking chains. There's a couple different unique things about Ethereum staking that separate it. And so as we were designing Casimir and looking to build it out, Ethereum was kind of a point that we said, hey, there is not a lot of really good Ethereum staking solutions out now. There's not really a way that you can do it without having 32 Ethereum. And so we started to look around at different grant pools and different things that people were working on. We just didn't see any solutions that allowed a user to maintain self-custody without having to have 32 Ethereum. 32 Ethereum, that's a lot of ETH. Not everybody has 32 Ethereum, right? It's a lot of money. And so, there's a ton of people that doesn't fit, but we don't want people using Coinbase. We felt like things like Lido and Rocket Pool, where you're giving up the custody of your tokens for a secondary token. There's inherent danger there. And so we thought, hey, I think we can do this without requiring those users to give up custody. Through applying to a grant, actually, Maddie reached out to us and said, hey, I see what you guys are working on. Do you know about SSV Network? And we actually hadn't heard of SSV at the time. But we quickly realized that, hey, that's the right solution for what we're trying to do. It's a decentralized validator solution. It's going to allow us to not have to worry about building out our own validator set and trying to recruit validators and bring them in, which is going to be really tough. And so it allowed us to focus on some of the other problems. And so that was great. Just a little background on some of the things we've done before. So you've been a validator on a lot of other networks. That's why we're familiar with staking. That's why one of the reasons we were starting with staking. We actually are currently finishing up a contract for the Department of Defense for healthcare logistics. So looking at creating decentralized and digital assets for healthcare records and bringing that through. And so like I said, one of the things we realized is, hey, there's new things coming, whether it's medical records, but there's just not a good way for us to bring it all together in one spot. And so that was kind of the idea behind Casimir. So moving forward, we hope to continue to grow this platform, again, beyond just Ethereum staking, a place where a lot of different users can come in, and that will hopefully expand people's access to different networks. So hopefully that will bring in users that maybe hadn't heard of SSV Network or were Solana stakers, because they're able to stake their Solana. Now they can see, SSV, now they can see Ethereum. And so it's, I think, a place that we can really expand people's perception and people's ability to access crypto, NFTs, Web3 in general. I've already kind of introduced the team, but we've got a really good, awesome team. We're pretty developer heavy, and so we can do a lot of different things. And so, it's a great team. People always ask me, like, what's the best part of your company? What is your best skill set? I always say our team is the best team that I've been on. And so I'm excited to to have these folks going forward. I kind of already mentioned a little bit, hey, why SSV, why Ethereum? But we looked out and we just saw there is just a lot of concentration of not only the initial stake, but also the other clients that people are using. Prism, when I think Prism was the first, right? When Ethereum was first starting on proof of stake, we were up on Prism Network, that was like 3 years ago or something like that, really early on. It's still kind of dominant. I think the graph here on the left with looking at who has the most, I think Lido has even expanded more than when I made this graph a couple of weeks ago. So I think it's a problem for Ethereum. Centralization of stake, I think, is a big problem for Ethereum. And so I think it's going to be a big thing that needs to be solved going forward. And I think this is, Casimir is one of the solutions that can help decentralize staking. Again, while allowing users to have that self-custody. And I've mentioned some of these things as well, right? It's really the only technical method, right, that we can do a project like this. There isn't really anything else that we can do. Again, it also is very consistent with our values. So again, the decentralization values, the openness. So those are all things that we want to really tap into. So that's kind of some of the big reasons why we're excited to work with SSV. So jumping into kind of what we're building, I've talked a little bit about the self-custody stuff, right? But it's really non-custodial, any amount Ethereum staking. I think at some point there'll probably be a minimum. We've kind of looked at that. I think we want to make it so the user's not losing money if they're staking for like 0.001 or something like that. But maybe it's 0.1, maybe it's 0.05. But and the small amount of Ethereum staking. We want to one of the big things that we've noticed too is the UI in general for crypto tends to kind of suck, and so that's another big thing. We want to make it really easy, right? One click kind of staking, one click staking. The information's available to the user. They can see if they want to. They can dive in and do a deep dive on different things. But we want to make it really easy for them to one click stake, deposit their Ethereum, and start getting their Ethereum back in native Ethereum as well. So they're not relying on a secondary token that is traded somewhere else for their value. They're getting they're maintaining that value. And I think the last thing too is again, we want to make this simple for all assets. So again, it's a place where you can stake your Ethereum. You can also see your NFTs there. You can see other staked assets across other chains, and so it becomes a place that you can just simply see what you've got going on, see your rewards, manage your stake, and have it all again in one spot that's easy. The other kind of technical part, diving into some more technical stuff. So the other big piece that we're talking about staking centralization is how do you select a validator, right? How do you know which validators are good? How do you figure that out? So we've been working on basically a ranking system for validators, so we can actually look at how much stake do they have, what is things like uptime. We're using SSV has their own, Solana has a ranking system as well, so we're tapping into some of that to build. But one of the things that we want to do is show that to users so that users can see who should they be staking to, right? A lot of times you go to staking website, you just see the top 100, and you're just going to click on the top guy or the top 5 guys because they're there on the top of the list, right? It just makes sense. So we want to make that easier for people to understand, hey, let's distribute staking out to other people, to smaller validators, to help smaller validators get a foothold. And so we want to apply that to SSV as well. So we're going to apply that ranking mechanism to SSV validators. And so we'll have a set of SSV validators that pass certain thresholds. And we're going to start off using some of the ranking system that SSV has. We'll also probably over time look at adding some additional metrics of our own that we like to help kind of create consistency across chains. But we'll use those metrics to have a pool of validators that we'll randomly select from as we create staking contracts, so that validators that are good validators that have high uptime and that are working hard in the SSV ecosystem will have opportunity to earn more stake through that process. Again, with a focus of maintaining that decentralization. So one of the things that we've got planned. So I think I put it in the final grant draft is just looking to start. We're starting now, but kind of official start date early September, and that's just because based on our timeline, 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 weeks. We want to launch after the new year, just to deconflict with holidays, Christmas, New Year's, all those things in December. So our planned product launch date is early January. But our roadmap going forward is looking to build out the staking smart contract and get ready to deploy that on testnet too. We want to integrate a lot of popular wallets. So kind of the top four that we've picked are MetaMask, Wallet Connect, Ledger, and Coinbase Wallet. It's kind of the first wallets to integrate. And then the last phase is going to be a lot of the auditing of the contract and making sure that it's very secure. So that's a big concern of ours. I think is as we're allowing people to have self custody, we don't want the smart contract to be that point of attack for those users. So it's very important that we make sure that that the smart contract doesn't allow the smart contract doesn't allow a user to have funds stolen or something like that. If again, we'll be kind of the initiator of that smart contract, and we don't want to put the risk on the user. That again is against the point of of that user controlling their stake. So but we have these kind of phases in 6 week chunks, and so again, kind of early January looking to launch. At the same time we're doing this, we are working on doing a fundraise ourselves. So we are planning a fundraise out. So we're putting stuff together for that. And so that will hopefully, as we close that out here in the next couple months, will allow us to, expand our team and really, get a lot more done as well. And so, we're excited for that as well. So to really grow the team, grow the product. And so again, it's not going to just be one-sided as we launch. We'll have a lot of different features as we go forward. I think this is the last slide. So again, just kind of showing some of the overall architecture, for people that have looked at a lot of the different architectures out there for Ethereum staking. I don't think there's a lot of surprises here. So we'll be using, the Casimir DApp, to allow users to interface and access the pool, the pool contract. And so we'll be creating contracts from those users. One of the really, big things we'll be doing is using that initial contract, and we sometimes are calling these Oracle contracts, but using these Oracle contracts to really tie that user in to the amount that they have staked. And so that will be kind of an Oracle or source of truth of who staked what. And so when they look to withdraw, it will be traceable and trackable. And so it will be, built into the code, ensuring that those users are able to access the rewards. That's probably, I think, the biggest unknown is Ethereum with withdrawals when that's actually going to be activated on the network, and how exactly that's going to look. So that's probably for us our biggest unknown right now, and so we're trying to plan around that. But again, we want to be able to as soon as Ethereum, the fork is the merge, I should say, the merge is successful. We want to make sure that when withdrawals are activated, that we're able to provide that right out of the box. But so anything else you want to say on this, Shane? Add to the architecture diagram?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you highlighted the biggest unknown for us. So we're also looking into how can we balance some sort of trustless withdrawals approach for the non-custodial side, and then also maybe we need to build something like a DAO to manage that withdrawal on our side. So we're definitely deep in the research on that. So this is in flux, or that piece of it at least. We're excited to see the other dates too. You guys notified us about the Chainlink opportunity. So we're looking into that for oracles. It's another interesting spot that's sort of in flux for us, but otherwise, well said, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, with that, I think that's the last slide I have. So I can pause here for any questions that you guys might have. Again, thanks for the opportunity and the time, guys. It's fun to talk about it, and yeah, we're really excited to get started.
This was great. I think this was one of the first times where I did not interrupt with questions in the middle of the presentation. That means that you answered the next slide, answered my question every time they popped up. So in terms of presentation, awesome job, really terrific. I'm very excited for anyone who wants to build, especially if it's something that it's B2C or user facing that the average Joe will benefit from. I think that's in our worlds, for me, for the people, even my friends who ask me what I do. I think that once the average Joe will be able to touch it and feel, I'll be able to say, yeah, we're in the background, you know. So it's really cool to see it. I would like, if you don't mind, a few questions. I want to know, first of all, the opportunity to enable someone to stake less than 32 ETH while holding his keys, holding his assets without compromising anything. That's what it's all about. I mean, that's the number one value proposition. I'm wondering, for your target audience, assuming I'm retaining all the assets in my wallet, assuming I have everything and within my reach, and I don't want to go and use outsource it to, let's say, Lido, Rocket Pool, exchange it for other coins. What do you expect your users to be doing with that ETH? Just in and out of ETH staking, or do you expect them to be using it for other purposes while waiting, technically?
Yeah, well, I think what we kind of want to replicate is similar to what most of the staking what most of the staking chains do today. So, generally when you stake, you're locked up. That stake gets locked up for 2 weeks to 3 weeks kind of thing. So we're looking at kind of a locking period. So when you stake, you'll be staked to a smart contract, and your funds will be locked there. So we're looking for the kind of the user we're looking for is somebody who's like, look, I love Ethereum, and I just want to earn I just want to earn that stake, and in 5 years come back and see how much I made, kind of thing. I think, that's kind of how I am, a little bit, is let's lock it up. I believe in this stuff. Let's, I'm not trying to trade it on the back end. I'm not, if you want liquidity trading and stuff like that, you can use Lido, if you want to keep doing that. But our kind of, target is those, kind of the longer term people that are holding it, that want to lock some up, that don't mind that it's going to be, hey, it's going to be locked up for, if I need to withdraw, it's going to take 2 weeks for that withdrawal to go through. Kind of like the Cosmos or, Polkadot periods. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, personally speaking, I'm not a big trader. Every time I try to trade a bit, I end up losing. So
yeah,
for sure,
yeah, me too. That's why I started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I think Adam had something to ask. So
yeah, just a quick comment. I really like the fact that you guys are working also on verified operator sort of functionality, where you have, like, I don't know, a registry of safer to use nodes in the network. There are a lot of companies, there are a lot of projects, including SSV, like you mentioned, that are building those type of frameworks. And I think it's a super important effort for the industry, because eventually stakers, if you give them the optionality of, choosing their own infrastructure providers, it might get confusing. But if they have sort of the SSV check mark next to the rated network check mark next to Lido, you guys, so you collect these kind of badges, then you can kind of opt into generally safer to use optimal performance nodes in a specific network, which is really important. And we are trying to do a lot of efforts around that. And I think there are a lot of interesting projects and concepts that will be built in the very near future. What I'm curious to ask, that was more of a statement. What I'm curious to ask is more about focus. I mean, creating a liquid staking pool and running it and making sure it's functioning well, that there's liquidity for the token and all of that. It's a huge amount of work. And I know that you guys are engaging in a lot of other projects as well. So I was wondering, like, in terms of spreading your resources thin, would that be sort of a hindrance to your ability to execute?
Yeah, it's a great question, and to clarify that point, the main focus and the way we've laid it out is our primary focus right now is on that Ethereum staking portion. So that is the primary focus of the team, and what almost all of our efforts would be directed towards. there are, there are other things that we want to bring in. So other assets, other staking pools and things like that going forward. But those are going to kind of be around the Ethereum efforts. I think for us, us from a strategic point of view, I think Ethereum staking is probably the biggest thing to happen in the crypto ecosystem, and maybe since maybe since like the user activated soft fork for Bitcoin. It's pretty huge, I think, and so that's going to be our primary focus is Ethereum staking, because I think it is that big of a deal. We're looking, we do want to raise so that we can keep doing other projects, but yeah, going forward, our focus is Ethereum staking, and we want to our ability, bring in as many other features as we can. But it's all dependent on getting Ethereum staking up and out the door, and high quality going forward. So yeah. To the I know actually, Liz, you mentioned badges and stuff like that, and Liz has kind of been behind thinking about a lot of that stuff. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add, Liz, on the on some of the ranking stuff, but yeah, one of the things that we hope to do is bring in kind of that idea of bringing those different badges from across the ecosystem, so people can see who some of those raters are, and that validators can collect multiple badges for different ecosystems, and so they have kind of that high assurance that hey, these this is good infrastructure.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and we not only just to help with our own bandwidth, but also to sort of pull in the best of the best. In terms of ranking validators, we're definitely not trying to be like the master validator score, and it would be like just the Casimir score, and we're always just sorting validators on that. And we certainly also don't want to just put ourselves up to the top, where we're just our staking platforms, the users are primarily staking to only us. We really are committed to that, to keeping stake decentralized, and like Nate said, supporting those smaller validators. So we're planning on heavily relying on a lot of the scoring that's already out there. I mean, that could be like on the Solana side, there's StakeWiz, who has a pretty good score, where we talk a lot with Chainflow. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're sort of a small medium-sized validator organization, but they also do a lot in the community, and they actually have, I think, some sort of decentralized organization that is entirely focused on supporting validators and keeping stake decentralized. So we very much want to pull in scores from the different ecosystems, from different open source scoring, and then of course have our own quality metrics as well, and constantly be tracking that. But we certainly don't want to be the sole source of truth on that.
Yeah, I mean, for us as well, the moment we decided or realized how important the whole rating system is, or it will be even more important in the future, we just realized how little we know what people are looking for. So when we started talking to staking rewards or rated network, which I saw you guys pulled their chart before, we realized that there's an entire world out there that we're not even taking into account. So the fact that the grant was awarded to a team like Rated to develop something that eventually will be used by the entire ecosystem, that's what the whole thing is all about. So I can tell you that from our perspective, when you guys are up and running, we would love for you to apply for the Verified Operator Committee. We're trying to bring in, verification experts from around the industry, guys from Staking Rewards, maybe some experts from Rated, other people have already applied. So we're hoping to bring in all these, let's call them specialists, or all these different points of view, perspectives on the same topic, which is how do we verify, how do we show the users who the right individuals or companies are. It's a pretty loaded and biased question. So the more different opinions we have, the better it is. So I'm really excited to see how you guys crack that.
Awesome.
I would like to know from your perspective, maybe a superficial question, if you will. We're hardcore ETH guys. That's all we do. That's all we've ever done, basically. That's what I know. I mean, for us, when Vitalik speaks, it's as if the entire world has heard what he has to say. So every time I talk to someone who's not, such a fanatic, I hear a lot of different perspectives. So I really want to know from your perspective, from, you're just not just getting started, but really ramping up your ETH efforts right now. But you already have experience with Solana, you already have experience with other protocols, other POS chains. How does ETH compare for you guys? And why is it, again, so crucial for you to say that it's ETH first, and we're going to focus on ETH, and that's going to be the top of the list right now? I'm just curious.
Yeah. And I don't want to make anybody in the other ecosystems angry, but Ethereum is the leader. And there are, and it's apparent just from going and trying to pursue Ethereum staking. The amount of people working on Ethereum staking, the amount of effort that's in the ecosystem around Ethereum it's noticeable. Whether it's the Discord channels, whether it's the grant pools available, Ethereum is at another level that other chains just aren't at yet. And there's other chains working on different things for sure, and there's a lot of really cool technology out there that Cosmos has and Solana has. I mean, there's some cool stuff that they're working on, but they've got a long way to go before they catch up with Ethereum in terms of just the magnitude of development and projects and just momentum that Ethereum has. So that's one huge thing that we've just seen since we've kind of shifted that focus. I think the other big thing too is, hey, it's the number, it's the number two, it's the number two crypto, and it's the number two for a reason. It's done, amazing things. Vitalik, I mean, there's a reason everybody stops when Vitalik speaks, because he is, just super smart and has a ton of really interesting perspective on the space, and remains relevant, going forward. So it's, the leadership in Ethereum. I mean, so all of those things, I think, just make for a really powerful ecosystem. And then I think the last thing too is just the fact that they are shifting the proof of stake is amazing. I mean, to have a very successful chain that's proof of work, and then to say, oh, actually, we're going to change the consensus mechanism now. I mean, that's not like I don't, that is like, it takes a lot to do that. It's really interesting, right? Like they could, Ethereum, for a lot of chains, and these aren't any that we participate in. These, a lot, there are, there's scams in the ecosystem. People do pump and dumps. They're like, hey, why would we change what we're doing? Because I'm making a lot of money, that kind of stuff, right? So for groups,
Mic off.
To be behind the shift of proof of stake for Vitalik to, kind of stake his legacy kind of on the shift is also pretty interesting. And I think it's really, shows that, hey, they're willing to make changes. They're willing to do really, really big things that they don't necessarily know what the outcome is going to be, right? We're going to do the merge here in a couple of weeks. Hopefully it goes well. If it doesn't, we're going to have to figure that out, right? So to stake everything behind doing all those really huge technical things is also really amazing. And I don't think that a lot of protocols would have the ability to make a huge change like that. So I think all those things just show the power and the innovation of the Ethereum ecosystem.
So just a quick little follow-up question to that. So were you guys waiting to see where the merge is at, or waiting to see how close we were to the merge before you dove all into the ETH staking space? Or was it a question of the right timing for you guys? I'm just curious to know
Yeah, it's a good question. It was a little of both. Like I said, we were up on Prism like really early on, and it was like, wow, we're really a long way from this. And so it was on our roadmap, and so we had it on the roadmap, and we weren't sure when the merge was going to happen. As kind of early this year, we were working towards building Casimir, and so we were kind of lining up, hey, what are the different tokens we want to support for staking? And you're looking at, you're kind of just stacking, priorities. And, we're looking at, all right, Solana, Cosmos, like those are easy because, we know how they work. And Ethereum, well, we don't know when the merge is going to happen, but Ethereum is really important to us. And then, two things happen. One, the merge is happening quicker than people said, right? So you're like, okay, so this is going to happen quick. So we should, this is a high priority. The second thing that we discovered as we were diving into Ethereum in terms of how the staking was going to work was the 32 Ethereum problem. So we saw, we originally thought, hey, we'll just be able to plug it in just like all the other staking tokens, and it should be no problem at all. But when we started to look at it in detail, we realized, okay, 32 Ethereum is the minimum. So that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. So we realized, hey, that's maybe an opportunity. Let's try to solve that 32 Ethereum problem. And so that kind of rabbit hole took us down, into this. And so that's part of the reason. It was a challenge for us to try to figure that out and solve that. And so that's kind of another one of the reasons that it became a top priority for us, is kind of the challenge of, hey, there's some unique things here. Let's figure out how to solve that. And for our team, that was exciting. And so again, it just kind of naturally rose to the top as we were, just trying to figure this out. So
this was a great explanation, by the way. Thanks for that. Just the last thing from my side, and I'll start breaking balls here, I promise. If you could give one suggestion, one recommendation, one tip for anyone, on the fence or originally on the fence when it comes to ETH2 staking, or that entire, great leap forward towards ETH2, what would you tell them? Or more importantly, how would you, if you could go back in time 6 months, how would you do that? How would you enter this crazy rabbit hole that's called ETH staking, or staking less than 32 ETH?
Yeah. It's okay. Let's think. It's a great question. I think what I would say to people is that, we've got to continue to innovate and move forward in this space. And so there's going to be a lot of projects and new things coming out there. And so people should be open to it. It's not, the project, we're not done in crypto, right? Like it's not over. There's a lot of new stuff coming. So people need to be open and looking for those new things. I think, broadly, like Bitcoin proof of work, I think that works, for Bitcoin, and proof of work is great. And I've got, I have Bitcoin, I think, it's a great thing, but there's another level. And I think we're talking about decentralized computing. We're talking about smart contracts and, management of digital assets. And so as our world continues to become more digital, as our businesses become more digital, whether it's manufacturing, renewable energy, all of these things are happening. We need a way to capture that digital value. And that's through things like Ethereum that are able to actually create decentralized computing that can look at all of these new digital systems, all these new digital economies, and capture that value. But in another way, not only capture that value, kind of like a Facebook or a Google does, but instead of being a centrally controlled company that's a corporation, it can return all that value to users who are participating in the ecosystem. So that, I think, is what's happening in our world today. And that's why people should be excited about Ethereum. That's why you should be excited about crypto. But Ethereum's leader. And again, and the last thing I'll just say is just look at, I think, again, guys like Vitalik have said that they want this to happen, that they're behind this move. And so that, again, should say something to people that this isn't just a one-off project. Like, this isn't just an idea. Like, people are putting a lot of effort. So it's not something done lightly. But yeah, I think, again, I think that's a big reason why people should start looking at Ethereum and proof of stake protocols.
Awesome. Great. So that's it. That's a wrap for me. I want to be respectful of your time as well. I would love for you guys to share some of your thoughts, some of your progress with the community. I'm sure that they would love to hear, what challenges you guys are facing, how you overcome your obstacles, maybe specifically about the verification. I'm sure many would like to know. And more importantly, Liz, I'm sure that people would love to hear the product UI side of things, because as you mentioned, Nate, solving that headache for individuals, making it easy, is such a headache for us that I'm sure any progress, anything, any breakthrough that you guys make will be much appreciated by the community. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it so much. We will edit the video, post it on the social media, make sure to share it with the community, and definitely make sure to schedule a follow-up with you guys to see where you stand and how development is progressing.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. I appreciate the time today. And yeah, we'll be happy to share, with the community going forward as we're developing. Our project's open source. So people can follow us on GitHub if they want to see us. We're just kind of, actively pushing changes and stuff even. So, but yeah, excited to get started and really looking for it.
Awesome. Sounds great. If you don't mind, share your GitHub repos and everything, and we will leave it in the comments of the video and in the group so people can check it out and maybe got comments there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, thank you so much. This was a blast. We'll post this in the next couple of days, and I really hope to hear from you guys soon.
Yeah, for sure. Look
All
forward
right,
to it.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.